Welcome to Gold Derby. I'm senior editor Denton Davidson here with Emmy-winning talk show host Daphne Oz, who is back for season 9 of MasterChef Junior on Fox. Daphne, this is always one of the most fun cooking competitions to watch. What is it about these kids in this competition that make it so special, and what are you excited for viewers to see this season?
I agree. It is one of the best shows to watch if you love food and you love competition. And also, if you potentially have family to entertain. I love watching MasterChef Junior with my kids because I think that they get very inspired, frankly, by other kids their age who are fearless in the kitchen, who are cooking with crazy ingredients. It makes the idea of them getting in the kitchen and making their own snack or helping me make dinner that much more enticing. And I think what makes it exciting is it is so relatable. Like, yes, they're cooking with crazy ingredients and they're punching through and pulling out things that you'd never cook with, but they're treating it like any other second, third, or fourth grader would. You can see them sort of process the pressure of the situation and be sort of grappling with this, taking in so much new information, being thrown the challenge of like, let's see what you can do. We know you love to cook. We know this is your passion. Now let's help you become even more skilled in it. And so I think there's that moment of like, oh, wow, I can see my own kid in this moment too. And for the adults watching who are not watching with children, I think the gauntlet has been thrown. Like, if I'm 8 and I can make my own pasta and debone a fish and cook with seaweed, like, you can too. Make some dinner.
And you're back on the judging panel with Gordon Ramsay and Aarón Sánchez, but this season Gordon's daughter Tilly Ramsay joins as the fourth judge. What's the dynamic with her like, and what's the biggest difference between Gordon and Tilly and their approach and how they approach the judging style? Because obviously Gordon is, the one with experience as a chef.
Sure. No, I mean, look, if you're a fan of family dynamics, which I am because they're so raw and they're so real, it's such a wonderful peek behind the curtain. Watching Gordon and Tilly is phenomenal. They have so much love, obviously, but they rib on each other. I mean, so many people saw that famous prank that Tilly played on her dad where she had him squeeze the water in his face. And it's like, they engage with each other in the most fun, playful way, which I really relate to. But I think, their biggest difference in sort of coaching or judging style really comes down to life experience, and both are really valuable. Obviously, Gordon is a super accomplished, world-renowned chef. So he's really offering this lifetime of knowledge in the kitchen. And he does it, people always ask, like, is he really harsh on the kids? Is it hard to do? Of course, it's hard to give harsh feedback, but every parent recognizes the fact that, like, kids want to learn. They're not expecting themselves to know everything out of the gate. They're 8. And, I think our oldest on the show was 11 or 12. And, they really are hunting for that guide, for that person to show them the ropes and to do it in a loving way, but to give them that real, honest, respectful feedback. And that's really what Gordon does. Plus, he's there like having the most fun of anyone on set. He really loves getting to, be a part of making the memories so real for the kids. Where Tilly's advice and feedback is so powerful because she's actually competed on MasterChef herself. She really understands the competitive nature and what it's like to be on the other side of it, what the clock ticking down and the high stakes. And she's also young herself. So there's that wonderful sort of big sister quality that she's able to offer the kids that I think goes such a long way because they are young and you do want to make them feel comfortable. You do want to set them up to succeed. So for them to have the different vantage points of like, their dad and Gordon, their big sister and Tilly, like their mom and me, and their fun uncle in Aarón. It just really plays really nicely.
And you could probably relate to Tilly being on camera with your father and what and what that's like.
Definitely. No, I love being on camera with my dad. It is fun because again, it's a real relationship that has so much history to it. And both Gordon and my dad are such playful, like big kids themselves in a way, especially when it comes to like competitions like this. There is no, if someone's gonna win, can it be me kind of moment. And I think that that's wonderful because it's ultimately this is for fun, yes, but it's also to really help these kids learn something. This is like the perfect nexus of education and entertainment. And I think by seeing the adults take it really seriously and get invested, the kids realize what an incredible opportunity it is and what an incredible chance it is to grow so much as cooks, but also as kids and as people.
How often do the four of you really disagree? I mean, are there ever instances where you're like, "Are you tasting what I'm tasting?" Like, I mean, because everyone has sort of things they like and
I
don't
agree.
like. I mean, or do you guys generally agree on the judgment?
Look, I think sort of the fun kind of gray area of this show is that our kids are not professionally trained chefs. So they are sometimes doing things differently than a professional would, which just leaves room for interpretation. I will say, for the most part, obviously, we agree on cooks of the meat. We agree on, the presence or absence of good flavor. But I think, within that, we do change. We do, disagree with each other on too salty, not enough salt, more acidity, too much acidity. There's, of course, it's palate differentiations, but I think it's I do think ultimately we're not trying to force the kids to cook in one particular way in our, in the way that we want it done. We're trying to help them do what they're trying to do as well as possible. And that's really, where the coaching comes in. We sort of help them craft and hone and perfect what they're trying to do.
Well, episode one premiered March 1st, so we've seen the season's contestants. It's a incredible cast, like it
It
always is.
really
I
is.
also I love that they're from all over the country. I'm rooting for my fellow North Dakota native, Alfred. We don't get many
Alfred!
people from that state on TV, so I'm originally from North Dakota, but
Amazing.
it's impossible not to cheer for all of them. What's the most thing about the diversity of the kids and where they're from and like where their location, what that brings to their cooking style?
For sure, for sure. And I'm so glad you highlighted this because I think it's people don't realize how much the casting process for MasterChef Junior has been elevated by being able to do interviews like we're doing here on Zoom. It means that kids from all over the country are able to apply. Everybody has this chance to show us what they've got going on. Some of the kids on the show have never left home before. I mean, like, to think about that, to think about the idea that they've never left home, and then the first time they're getting on a plane leaving home as to be on national television is so incredible. And I think that you're getting a much wider swath of America on display. You're getting to see so many different cultures and techniques, kids who've been, participating in barbecue competitions with their mom or dad since the age of like 3 and 4, and kids who are completely self-taught. And you're getting to, really fall in love with them, frankly. They're the most lovable cast of characters. And I will say, people always ask, like, isn't it the worst to have to send anyone home? But the reality is this opportunity is so huge, and they come week after week and they learn so much. They leave with so much confidence. It's incredible. And ultimately, they are going home to be the full-time coolest kid in school because they just spent a bunch of time being on Fox primetime. And I think that it's win-win-win all around.
I feel like you're better at delivering bad news and dealing with the kids crying than especially Aarón. I mean, is that just because you're a mom and you're like, life is an easy, kid, keep your head up? Or is that like a personality? Because I feel like you just deal with it like straight on. You just get to the point.
I don't know. Here's maybe it's because I put myself in their shoes and I'm like, just give it to me straight, like tell me what I'm in for. But I also feel like I cry all the time. So I appreciate you saying that. Maybe like in the edit, you don't see it as much. No, because look, my heart breaks every time because we're letting go of kids that we built such relationships with and that we love and that we want to continue to thrive and do great things and keep their passion alive. But I do, like I said, like at the end of the day, even when I'm so sad to let them go from our studio, I am so happy for them and I'm so proud of them for pushing through what are inevitably have been hard moments, failures, things that were not what they were expecting. Just thinking about, for my own kids, thinking about how much better they get even through failure when they process it well and when they are given an opportunity to like reach really high and they fall short of that, like every single time it gets easier to deal with that. And I don't want my kids to be afraid to reach high. So I celebrate these kids. I'm trying not to make it feel like it's, the end of the road. It's the beginning of the road.
And one of the fun things about the show is the ridiculousness of some of it. And episode two has an Under the Sea theme, and you all
Yeah.
have these costumes on. Yours actually looks pretty elegant in comparison to the other judges. But Gordon gets completely slimed in seaweed. Kids love watching adults get slimed. So, I mean, how much fun is it just to see them react to all of these pranks and costumes and things that you have going on set?
I mean, like I'm an adult and I freak out. So just to, tempt you all to watch this season, but also to watch episode 2, which is next Monday. And if you didn't catch the first premiere episode on this week, you can actually watch it all the time on Hulu, which is exciting. So you get caught up for the coming episode. It is our Under the Sea episode. The kids are cooking with seaweed and a variety of other interesting under the sea ingredients. I am dressed in a full mermaid costume. Gordon is dressed in a full scuba suit, like the most incredible outfit. And he does get dunked with seaweed. And I have to say that, like, again, going back to that playful moment, it's so not, they don't, no one on the show takes themselves too seriously. It is such a highlight to get to see an adult, and especially Gordon, get absolutely drenched in murky seawater and slimy seaweed. And I just think, look, they get the reward, right? They've been put through the incredible pressure of the situation. They've made it through the cook. We know who's going up to the top level and is safe for the week, and we know who's unfortunately going home. And then to have this like emotional cathartic release and just be able to laugh together is so powerful.
I'm curious about you growing up with your dad as a doctor. We all know Dr. Oz is this, well-known health advisor. Was he strict about food in the house? I mean, was he like, okay, let's go to McDonald's, or was he like, no, this is bad heart health? I mean, what was it like to grow up in a house with a doctor that's so health conscious of what you're putting in your body?
Absolutely. No, what's interesting is, so my dad and both my grandfathers and my uncle are all surgeons. So we have this really powerful presence of Western medicine throughout my family. And then my mom and my grandma are really into nutrition and complementary medicine. And so we had this and through that, we had that wonderful sort of overlay of like, what you could be doing on a daily basis to take good care of yourself. And a lot of that does come down to the food that you're eating and what you're putting in your body, meal after meal. So I will say that I had lots and lots of access to great healthy meals and healthy cooking. And that was the priority for sure. And that was the way that we just love to eat. I joke that like in my family, people fought over the salad. Like we love, vegetables. We love great proteins. We also love pasta and carbs. My mother's family is Irish and Italian. Like we ate the rainbow. And I think what I love is that my dad actually, he's not a restrictive eater himself. Like he will totally go down on, beautiful ribs and like things that are really the specialty, things that are a moment that are really worth indulging in. But he's also, I don't think I've ever seen my dad like reach into a bag of chips and just like eat, chips because they're there. He's mindful in that way. And I think that that's actually the real lesson, is like, make it count, right? And enjoy your life, enjoy your food. Food is such a incredibly important way that we create these bountiful and vibrant memories for ourselves. But don't be derailed or distracted by food that's really all marketing and not pleasure, which I think is really where convenience eating can get so tricky for people who are trying to eat well. But what's available to you if you haven't planned ahead, or if you are, if you're too far gone to think about it in a mindful way, that's where it can get really kind of sticky.
That's a great point. Last quick question. What's the best dish you could cook when you were 10 years old?
Um, I would always help my grandpa with that Sunday sauce I described, and I would help him with his incredible, famous stuffed artichokes, which I loved. But I would say the only dish I could reasonably make by myself at 10 would be a mean bowl of popcorn and like maybe a chocolate chip cookie, but that probably required some measuring help from an adult in the room.
I love it. All right. Well, listen, everyone can watch MasterChef Junior on Fox on Monday nights. And as Daphne said earlier, you can catch it on Hulu the next day. Such a great show. Daphne, thanks for sitting down and giving us the inside scoop at Gold Derby today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.